Hi, I'm Tom Berger, Vice President and Global Industry Director, Financial Services at HSO, the global Microsoft consultancy. I'm joined today with my colleague from Aptitude Software, Mark Aubin. Mark, would you briefly introduce yourself and Aptitude Software?
Sure, Tom, and it's great to see you again. So I'm Mark Aubin. I'm the autonomous finance leader for Aptitude Software. We're a global, publicly traded software firm delivering solutions for the Office of the CFO.
The reason for having the two of us together here in this room is our global partnership between Aptitude Software and HSO to deliver transformation solutions and service to the finance function. Mark, your company just ran a huge benchmark study with 1,700 senior finance and IT leaders across the world, across key industries, to get a better understanding of how far they are on their journey to autonomous finance. We all know that autonomous finance is being perceived as one of the mega trends right now. For example, Gartner has perceived autonomous finance as a game changer. So can you help us understand what is autonomous finance?
Sure, Tom. So the word autonomous is effectively a device or system that is capable of operating without human control. And thus, from a finance perspective, in simple terms, we refer to a self-learning and self-improving finance function where tasks are optimized and intelligent and systems are efficient and interoperable. An autonomous finance function is underpinned by an enterprise-wide data platform providing real-time insights and enabling finance to be a strategic advisor to the rest of the business. Now, clearly this is a bit of nirvana from a finance perspective, and the objective of the survey was to benchmark where organizations are in that spectrum between traditional finance, where processes are manual and data is very siloed, versus autonomous finance, where systems are real-time, touchless, and intelligent.
So can you help me understand what the general themes were of the benchmark study?
So in assessing the state of readiness towards a truly autonomous finance architecture for the organization surveyed, we asked a number of questions about the quality of their data sources, their processes and controls in place, their reporting and forecasting readiness, and importantly, the cultural and people fit. What was clear in the discussions we had with most of the finance professionals we talked to was that finance professionals really do want to support businesses more strategically. When asked what they wanted to spend their time on, they answered that they wanted to spend less time doing accounting, compliance, and ad hoc reporting.
Wait a minute, though. So they scored that the highest of what they didn't want to do, which is spend less time on accounting. But hasn't that always been their function as accountants?
Absolutely. But most finance functions feel that they're a long way from fully automating their core processes, and they're always in a state of simply trying to keep up with the business. They do, however, think that they're in a much better position than the rest of their business for digital transformation and just need to overcome some of their existing challenges, such as automating those processes and organizing their data. But what's key is they recognize that their technologies available today can get them to progress further on the benchmark.
It's good to hear that they recognize where they are today, and it sounds like they know where they could potentially go. So where do finance professionals do want to spend most of their time in the future?
Sure. So they want to spend most of their time in strategic planning for their function, their organization, and working with their data. They realize that they can provide the most value to the business if they can just free themselves from the repetitive activity of gathering data and manual tasks. Further, the survey revealed that AI already has an existing presence in most of those finance functions, more than we expected. So it was good to see that steps are being taken to move to the strategic state that they desire.
So this is a really interesting insight. Finance professionals want to be more strategic and less reactive. But let's take a step aside here, Mark. Given you and I are so often engaged in finance modernization initiatives, in particular in large financial institutions, I think it's important to clarify something. What is the difference between autonomous finance compared to good old finance transformation that we have delivered during the past 2 decades? So, for example, I do remember quite well that finance has always been trying to become a trusted business advisor to the rest of the business and to allocate more time to acting as that trusted advisor. Other than reconciling subledgers to general ledger accounts, the availability of data has always been an issue, and the dream of a single version of the truth has always been on the table. Quite a few banks have invested tremendous amounts of money into complex subledger solutions and have started to relocate finance processes into new offshore finance shared services centers. All this has caused tremendous upfront investment. And I do remember very well that the underlying business cases have been extremely challenging to realize. So what's the difference between the traditional finance transformation that we just talked about and autonomous finance?
So autonomous finance is a destination and the transformation is the journey. Whether the destination was autonomous or simply automated, which is one of the stages in our benchmark, that journey was complicated and complex. The big change we see in the market and with our clients is that we're hearing that they want to avoid that big bang, budget heavy approach, and they're more along the lines of trying to deliver iterative value during the course of the finance transformation. Further, finance would like to be enabled to lead themselves in bite-sized chunks with smaller pressures on the budget cycles. All those examples of transformation that you just stated require extensive planning, large budgets, and IT and technical resources, which often have competing abilities. Just moving some processes to offshore doesn't necessarily mean that they've automated those processes. They've just taken the burden off their existing finance team, and they really need to be finance-led and finance-driven with an automated environment. There's a lot of fatigue in the market of not seeing the value of those long programs and a greater appetite for more rapid change.
Very interesting. So to summarize, if I'm hearing you correctly, think big, but start small.
Exactly. Focus on key processes or data flows that are critical, but also slow down your organization. Automate those, achieve success, and then move on to the next. And you cannot forget the impact on people during that type of change. Such a program needs strong leadership and a cultural readiness to deliver on such an approach. Regardless, the technology is available. Our software and HSO's expertise and solutions combine to get finance that ability to move finance organizations forward. Now, naturally, a lot of our clients are asking, and I'm sure they're asking you as well, that logical next question is, how can you help us get there? So we have a number of use cases and case studies where our successful clients are achieving this step progression towards autonomous finance. With that, I know you're itching to share one such example of an initiative that's underway. Can you share a bit more information on that transformation project?
Absolutely. Glad to do it. So we recently worked together at a large and growing insurance brokerage here in the States. Their fundamental challenge for finance was the commissions calculations and allocations for these producers and making sure that compensation was tied to the correct producer and that was done accurately and on time. Actually, when you brought up the automation as a step to autonomous, it made me think of this customer because what we enabled them to do was get the CFO to think of this as an interim step towards autonomous finance. We, together with Aptitude, worked on automating producer compensation, making sure producers were accurately compensated and they were compensated on time. This generated happy producers, loyal producers, and allowed this firm to grow. In the age of today, when companies, and especially in financial services, and especially in the finance function, are looking to automate more and to provide more real-time value to the board, this was a great step in the right direction for this customer. And the CFO recognized it.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of a company moving forward on that journey. Traditionally we would have thought, oh, that's a large finance transformation program. There's massive ERP change or GL change to add additional segments for reporting. We got to customize calculations for this one particular use case. But hearing the CFO recognize, how do I move my organization forward, pick up one of those data flows, which was producer compensation calculations, automate that, get real value, and put in the platform to support his overall data picture, provides real iterative value towards an autonomous finance function. So that's an excellent use case.
Absolutely. So this is obviously a real hot topic to those organizations who are really interested in becoming and achieving an autonomous finance function. Autonomous finance is a journey, as Mark stated, and the process may be somewhat complex, but HSO and Aptitude are eager to recognize the small, achievable steps that will build the business case to get there. We look forward to discussing with you the necessary steps to becoming an autonomous finance function from your perspective, and we would be more than happy and delighted to discuss how far you're on your way towards autonomous finance. Are you still in the traditional category, or have you proceeded on the way towards autonomous finance? In addition to that, we will also share the latest copy of our CFO Futures magazine, where various points of today's discussions are in more detail being discussed. So, to conclude, Mark, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure discussing with you autonomous finance today. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure, Tom. Thank you for having me today.
If you're interested in following any further conversations, please click on the link attached to this page. Thank you so much for listening.